Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody's having a great start to your Thursday. It is, as usual, warm and humid here in South Florida this morning. I ran outside this morning and felt like it was 80 degrees already. And 80 degrees is not that hot, right? But 80 degrees at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 in the morning is hot. Because if it's 80 degrees at 4 in the morning, what is it going to be at 12 in the afternoon? It is hot, but I love it. I love the heat. I love the humidity of South Florida. Hope everyone's having a great start to your day. We are already into the second half of the month of July. That means we are into the third quarter. By the way, to remind y'all, the third quarter of 2025, please check your goals for the year, your plans for the year, all the things you said you were going to get done this year. Make sure you are actually on track to do them. Time is going to keep going whether you get your things done or not. And shout yourselves out. Tell me your locations in the comments. We're going to get started in a few minutes. Today we're going to talk about not even Donald Trump's, but the Trump administration, I guess we can say. The Alligator Alcatraz, which happened, probably got announced maybe a week and a half ago. But because I was suspended, a lot of stories got pushed back. So we're going to get to it here today. Let's see. We are live on Rumble Studio, live on YouTube. Actually, I didn't start Facebook. Let me start Facebook. And we'll be live on Facebook in 1 second. We're live on Rumble Studio, live on YouTube. Let me check that we are good on X. Let's see. Are we good on X? Yes, we are good on X. Good morning, X. We are live over there. Is Facebook active? Yes, Facebook is active. Oops, I forgot. I know I have LinkedIn plugged in, but I got to make sure I actually start it. You got to push a couple of extra buttons on LinkedIn. So put some extra buttons on LinkedIn. Now we are good on LinkedIn. We are good on Facebook, Rumble Studio, X, YouTube, good. Instagram, we are good. And we are good over on TikTok. Tell me your locations where y'all checking in from. Crespo Realty. You're in Jersey. Shout out to Jersey. Shout out to New Jersey. I know a lot of people in Jersey. I've been to a lot of parts of Jersey. Hometown is Philadelphia. So shout out to everybody in the tri-state area up there, the northeastern part of the United States. That is where I come from. Let's see. Jack says, no one in my town can find a job. It's never been like this before. Well, Jack, tell everybody in your town that they should go do a job, find a job, or do something they could do online. That's what they should do. They should do something they can do online because that way they don't have to go looking, at least locally, for a job. They could do their job through the computer. So do they have computer skills? Renting Palm Beach, checking in from Boca Raton. Shout out to Palm Beach. Shout out to Boca Raton. Good morning, C-Suite. Good morning. Shout out to everybody who works in the C-Suite. Keep on living for life, said like your tie. Thank you. I like this tie too. Colson said, how the junk did Diddy go free? Last I heard, Diddy did not go free. Last I heard, Diddy was still in jail. So I don't know what you're referring to. Diddy went free? That's news to me if he did. And let's see. Yeah, I don't see any news about Diddy going free. So I don't know what you're talking about. Diddy is still in jail until his sentencing. Now, he didn't get fully convicted, if that's what you're referring to, but he did not go free. Georgia is in the house. Shout out to Georgia. Marky Man from California. David Sonny checking in from ATL. Shout out to Atlanta. I've done a lot of business in Atlanta. Shout out to Atlanta. I heard it's a nice place to live. I'm not moving there, but I heard it's a nice place. Dwayne checking in from Detroit. Detroit is in the building. Shout out to Eminem and Trick. IT Burnout. Good morning to you. All right, so Newburgh, New York is in the building. Art by C. Collins over there on Instagram. So let's get into the topic here today. We're talking about Alligator Alcatraz, which has been ascribed to Donald Trump. David said, if you got money, is nice. Well, I live in South Florida. You know how much it costs to live here? I like the weather of South Florida. That's the reason I'm in South Florida. I like the weather. I like the humidity. I like the beach. And so I don't know. I think you're talking about Atlanta. Ain't no beach in Atlanta. So I'm good on Atlanta. Shout out to Atlanta. I'll come to Atlanta to do some business, but I'm not living in Atlanta because y'all ain't got no beach. So I like places that have a whole lot of water and humidity and a beach. And there's a certain type of women too. All of those things. Anyway. And nowhere has all of them. Miami's the only place that got them all. So in the United States, at least. So this new migrant detention facility that has been nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz. We don't even know the actual name of this place. It doesn't even matter the actual name of it. Nobody cares because everybody's calling it Alligator Alcatraz. This is open and it's deep in the Florida Everglades. I don't know if it's that deep in the Florida Everglades. It's actually 37 miles to the west of Miami. So any of you ever been to South Florida? Many of you may not know, but the southwestern part of Florida is uninhabitable. Actually, it's technically not true. It is inhabitable because, technically all of Florida could be inhabitable if we never settled it and put cities here. But the southwestern part of Florida is mostly uninhabitable because of the Everglades. The Everglades is this big swampland that is filled with probably very active and successful mosquitoes, a whole bunch of alligators, gators, all the kind of stuff that you would find in swamps. So you would see the panthers, all these animals, probably plenty of fish, turtles, et cetera, et cetera. That's all in the Everglades. So you go east of Miami, then you start to drive towards the Everglades. And the eastern part of Miami is actually pretty spread out. The downtown part of not the eastern part. I said east, I meant west. The western part of Miami. If you go east of Miami, you're actually going to be in the Atlantic Ocean. You go east of Miami, first you're going to go into Miami Beach, and Miami Beach ain't that wide. Miami Beach is not very wide. You could walk the width of Miami Beach in like 15 minutes. And if you keep going, you're going to be in the Atlantic Ocean. So I meant west. So if you go west, I am active on TikTok. I am on TikTok, everybody. So those of you on Instagram, I am on TikTok. Just look up my name. Make sure you're following me on TikTok, and you can just see it on live. Let me look at my TikTok and see. Does it denote that you're live when you're live on TikTok? When you're live on X, it puts a little ring around that says that you're live. When I'm live on TikTok, no, see, TikTok doesn't say that I'm live. So I don't know how. Actually, there's a little button there that says live. Let me see. No, it is showing. It is showing that I'm live. So if you go on my TikTok profile, I don't know if only I can see this. Maybe only I can see it. Can't watch live streams on this device because they're live on it. So they won't let me see it because I'm logged into my own account. But you should be able to see that I'm live when you go to my TikTok account. So I don't know if any of you couldn't see it. I am live on TikTok. Anyway, continuing. So I meant to say west. So when you go west of Miami, if you're in Miami proper and you go west, then you get to a more spread out area. You'll drive through, you'll drive past the airport. If you start in downtown, then you'll go into maybe like the Kendall area, Doral, all of that. You keep going. Then it's a lot more spread out, and there's a lot of farmland and swampland out in that area. Then you start to go towards the Florida Everglades. It was a well-known place. It's one of the, again, this place would be worth billions of dollars if we started developing it and got rid of all the alligators and the swampland. But that's a different story for a different day. That probably will hopefully never happen. So this site reportedly was completed in under a week. I don't know why they created this in under a week, but I guess they decided they needed it. They completed this site reportedly in less than a week, and it holds up to 5,000 immigrants, and it is surrounded by 30-foot high walls, barbed wire, and there's a whole bunch of swamp all around it. That's the reason they call it Alligator Alcatraz, because it's built basically in the middle of what is swampy area, and if you kept going, you would be into complete swampy area. But this is some land that is next to the swampy area, and around it is a whole bunch of swamps, and there's gators, there's snakes, and basically the Everglades, what it is in the Everglades. And if you've been to South Florida, then you know there's water everywhere. If you walk a mile anywhere in South Florida, you're pretty much going to come across water. I'm trying to make sure that that's true. Is that true? I think if you walk a mile, I think that is pretty true. If you walk an entire mile anywhere in South Florida, you're probably going to come across water somewhere. I'm just thinking of the very heavily, densely populated areas that this is still true. It's still pretty true. So it's just water everywhere in South Florida. And I'm an Aquarius. Maybe that's why I like the water. So Donald Trump, Governor Ron DeSantis, and other political figures attended the opening of this place. And Trump made jokes about how you can outrun an alligator, outrun a snake. I don't know if y'all saw that. He was like, if you're running from an alligator, don't run in a straight line. You got to go like this so the alligator can't catch you. If you're running from a snake, you might be able to get away. It was a joke. And if somebody ever anybody tries to escape Alligator Alcatraz, like one of these immigrants who is being detained, then they can run away from the alligators or the snakes who might be enlisted as guards to catch them and bring them back. So detractors are calling this place inhumane. They're saying it's inhumane because of the association to alligators, which is not. The alligators really have nothing to do with this. The place is surrounded by 30-foot high walls. So I have never seen, I don't know how much National Geographic y'all watch, but I've never seen an alligator jump a 30-foot high wall to chase after people. Secondly, the only way the alligator can really get you, the alligator needs to get you in the water where it actually has the advantage. Alligator doesn't have advantage over you on land. So I don't know what people are talking. People are, again, this is just TDS. This is a good amount of Trump derangement syndrome that people are just finding reasons to be mad about anything that has to do with Donald Trump just because it has Donald Trump's name on it. Alligators really have nothing to do with this whole thing. It's really you being in this detention center and about to get deported out of America is the more important thing than it has anything to do with an alligator. Yes, you are. You're pushing it. Now you got to turn it so you can get it out the door. That's a big basket. You got it? Okay. After you get it out the door, make sure you close the door, please. Oh, no. Close the door.
We have to go that way again.
Okay. All right. So, of course, you got some TDS with this. Some people are saying it's inhumane, not because of alligators. They're saying it's a concentration camp. That's another term you've heard. And it's surrounded by environmental dangers and isolation. Well, first of all, it's pretty much a detention center. So environmental dangers, I say no. There are no environmental dangers. And isolation, I say, so what? It's a detention center. What are you expecting? What do you want, a party? It's a detention center. What do you want? What do you want to happen when you go to a detention center and you're being held by authorities? This is not supposed to be a party. It's not supposed to be fun. So supporters say it's a bold and effective solution for illegal immigration surges because, of course, Tom Homan and company are stepping their game up, allegedly. And as they catch people and are bringing them to the detention center, they just need a new place to bring them to. So that's why they built this place. And they say that it uses Florida's terrain as both a physical and psychological deterrent. I don't know if that's so true. That's what Trump supporters are saying. I don't know if it's really that it's creating a deterrent. I think people are coming here to America because it's the land of opportunity, and if they don't have proper documentation, then they're going to get sent to one of these detention centers. I don't think it's a deterrent. Oh, you might end up at Alligator Alcatraz. Not really. And Alcatraz, by the way, is an island, and Miami is not an island. So, again, people throwing these terms out there, I mean, it just sounds silly. It sounds funny. It did make a news story, and I appreciate it because now I can use it and talk about it. And there were protests, allegedly. I didn't know about this, but there were protests at the gates, probably not much. But the message from the leadership of the state of Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis, is clear. This is the new model for mass detention. I don't even know if this is a new model, but this is what's being said. This is the model for mass detention. And we already got a model for mass detention in the United States of America because we got a lot of people incarcerated here. And I think the model already exists. So saying that this is a new model, I'm not sure that's actually the case. We're going to get into all of this here briefly. Let me introduce myself first. For those of you who are unfamiliar with me, or you might have forgot since yesterday, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete. I've written a bunch of books. I own this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. What we do here in the big picture is we weaponize, structurize, and we take discipline and structure and we turn it into a system that produces predictable results. Whether you are an entrepreneur, you are a business professional, whether you run a sales team, any team where the bottom line is performance and producing results, not feelings, not DEI, none of any of this political nonsense, but anything that has to do with producing actual results. We're the people that you call. You can learn more about me and us and what we do here, what we offer, our systems and our programs can help you by going to the links in my profile, workonyourgame.com, Work on Your Game University, workonyourgame.live. We got anything Work on Your Game. That's me. We own it, at least for now, until somebody buys what we have. Anyway, getting into this topic here today was about Alligator Alcatraz, or at least that's what it's being called. Some say it is a cost-efficient natural deterrent using alligator, snakes, and swampland to discourage escape. I don't think anybody's trying to escape from a place that's surrounded by 30-foot walls. What's a person going to do if there's 30-foot walls in the, let's just call it a jail that you're detained in? So you think that's going to stop somebody from escaping because there might be an alligator? I think if I'm in a detention center and I don't see any other way out, I will escape and take my chances with the alligators rather than taking my chances with the government changing their mind about not shipping me out of the country. So this whole thing about the alligators is really just window dressing. It has nothing to do with the real issue that is being handled in this situation. The real issue is Tom Homan and his team are rounding up people who they have found to not have proper documentation, and they're putting them in detention camps. And what we just talked about yesterday, the one big beautiful bill act has it announces that it's going to shorten the amount of time that it takes to process anyone who is in the country without proper documentation, and basically getting them out of here faster. So the Alligator Alcatraz is really just a stopover. It's just a temporary holding place between you getting caught being here without proper documentation and you being sent away out of the United States. So a natural deterrent, I would say no. I think they put it in South Florida because they catch a lot of these people in South Florida, and because South Florida, travel-wise, geographically, is a gateway to the Caribbean and to Central America and to South America. So any of you who's ever been here, you know, flying out of Miami or Fort Lauderdale or any of these places in South Florida, it's hard to get flights to. It's not hard. It's not as common to get a flight straight out of South Florida over to Europe, but it's very easy to get flights straight out of South Florida to Central and South America, because that's what it's a gateway for. Anytime I've flown to Europe from South Florida, I often had to go to somewhere else in the USA first, such as Philadelphia or New York or Chicago or Atlanta, in order to get on the plane that actually went over to Europe. Now, Miami's not that much of a gateway commonly for flights from here to Europe. They have some, but not as many as, let's say, Atlanta or Philadelphia or New York. The point being, this has nothing to do with alligators or snakes. Okay, that is just some funny shit that we can talk about that is not really the real subject. Now, people have criticized this place as cruel and inhumane. And they've criticized it as cruel and inhumane because it got built in a week. So imagine what type of facility you would be in that got built in a week. Now, if it got built over the course of a couple of years, then you might think it has some state-of-the-art equipment, infrastructure is built out a certain way. But if you get brought to a facility, a detention facility, that is built specifically to hold people who have done something against the law, allegedly, and it got built in a week, you can already imagine what that's going to look like. So people may be sleeping in, they got the sleeping in cages, be adults, but not kids, adults in cages. They're probably on beds that are with paper thin stuff, which is, you go to most jails and the beds are like that, even the ones that have been around for years. And yeah, it's probably not much in terms of luxury infrastructure in a place like Alligator Alcatraz, I would bet. I've heard some people say some things about it. I don't know if they got pictures or videos of it. I've seen a couple little clips. But yeah, it looks like what you would think it looks like. It looks like what you would think a detention facility made for people who are not even citizens of the United States of America, allegedly. It looks like what you would think it looks like. All right, so people saying that this is inhumane, I say, yeah. What do you want a jail to look like? What do you want a jail to look like? It's jail. What do you want? And the only reason I believe a good number of people who are getting activated to go against this is because of Donald Trump. Not because these people just have this strong, staunch disagreement with the concept of jails and detention facilities. I think it's because it's connected to Donald Trump's name. They can claim moral superiority. They can use these appeal to emotion, fallacious arguments to go against it, because that's a way of showing that they're going against Donald Trump, and that gives people this moral high ground that they can stand upon by wagging their finger at Trump and anything that Donald Trump does or thinks or says, which is common. Now, the fast construction shows that this is decisive action. They completed this in less than a week. I say, yes, that does show decisive action. That is the government doing something quickly. I've been a continual critic of the United States government by saying that the government moves way too slow because it's a very bloated organization, and it is a bloated organization, and it does move slow. But they built this in less than a week, which brings into question another point that all of us can make about the U.S. government. How are they able to build a facility to house people who are allegedly here without proper documentation in a week. But the government we still have, America as a country, we still have a problem with people being homeless and not knowing where they're going to lay their head at night, people who have not committed a crime, and the government can't solve that problem in a week. How'd they solve this problem in a week, but they couldn't solve that problem in a week? That is a legitimate question that should be asked of the United States government. And, well, there's a lot of answers you could give to that, but it is a legitimate question that must be asked. Y'all can get a place to put people that you're going to ship out of the country. You built that in a week. But we got people who've been homeless for years. And any of you have lived in the same place for an extended period of time, at least if there are homeless people, you see the same homeless people over and over again, year after year after year. How did the government not come up with a solution to that problem? But they built this in a week. Now, it ain't like what they built is some state-of-the-art thing. Again, this ain't no hotel that they built. It's a detention facility. But it shows that in a short period of time, they can come up with the money, the manpower, and the decisiveness to come up with somewhat of a solution to a problem. Whereas something like homelessness and people not knowing where they're going to get their next meal from has been a problem for decades in the United States of America. And the government doesn't seem to have any sense of urgency when it comes to solving that problem. Juxtapose that with what they did here. It shows that the government has the capability if they want to. So we'll just leave that there for a moment. Now, this frees up capacity from overwhelmed local and federal detention centers. This is the reason why they built it, in case any of you didn't know. The reason that they opened this Alligator Alcatraz place is because a lot of the facilities that are already in existence were starting to get overcrowded with too many people. And this could lead to, I'm not going to have it here, but could lead to a much bigger discussion about incarceration in the United States of America, any type of incarceration, that we do a whole lot of incarcerating of people here. Now, there's a lot of reasons why that happens, but there's a lot of incarcerating that happens in the United States of America. And even if we include these people in these detention facilities, they're starting to get filled up. So they had to build something else quickly so that there was space for the regular inmates in the regular jails. They had to build this extra one to house, how many people did it say this one house? 5,000 people. So they can hold another 5,000 in this place right here. Now, there has been zero, as one that I didn't mention. I skipped over a point that I wanted to make. No environmental review was done of this place. And I guess it's not required by law for there to be an environmental review of this place, I guess. And or even if there is, nobody's doing it. And again, any of you don't know how the government actually works in the United States of America, there are a whole bunch of laws and rules and regulations that are supposed to be enforced. But because the government, despite as bloated as the government is, and many of you may understand that it is, the government still does not check all its boxes, cross all its T's, and dot all of its I's, simply because there are too many things going on in the United States for the government to have the resources and the manpower to actually check on every single thing that by documentation it's supposed to check on. It just doesn't get to it because there's just too much going on. And often things happen that never get uncovered, discovered, or fixed simply because the government does not have enough people to catch everything. And even the people that they do have so many things that they're responsible for that they can't give a thorough look over to every single thing that they're responsible for handling. And anyone who's ever worked in the government, and if you ever had a government job, y'all can co-sign what I just said. Put the word co-sign in the comments if what I just said is accurate. I was just listening to this documentary yesterday on YouTube. It's by PBS. What is it called? It's PBS something, where they do these hour-long documentaries. And this one was talking about the housing situation in America, the low-income housing situation in America. And the long and short of it is, y'all should watch it yourselves, but the long and short of what was happening was that there were developers out there who would get tax credits from the government, or basically money from the government, let's just say, for building buildings. So let's say they would go to the government and say, well, we're going to build low-income housing. It's going to cost X amount of dollars. They would quote the government more than it would actually cost, and then they would build it for less, and then they would keep the difference. So let's say they were going to build a building they're going to build a low-income housing, and they would say to the government, this is going to cost $12 million. The government would write them a check for $12 million, but the actual cost to build the building was only $8 million. So they would keep the difference of that $4 million. So they put the $12 million in the bank, build the building for $8 million. Now they got a $4 million surplus, and they would just keep that money as profit. But you're not allowed to do that. That's actually illegal. The thing is that a lot of people who were doing it never got caught. They made the documentary because a few people got caught. So they told the story of the people who did get caught, but they all the other people who didn't get caught are not in the documentary because they didn't catch them. The reason they didn't catch them because the government does not have enough people going around checking on the paperwork to make sure that what this person asked for the government is what they actually use and they didn't go overboard. Same thing that happened during the virus a few years ago with the payment protection program money, the PPP loans, is that people were taking out that money and didn't really have paychecks to protect, or maybe they did, but they took out way more than what they actually needed. So maybe they only needed 50 grand to help their team, but they took out 250 grand. So now they got an extra 200K. They just used the 200K to do whatever they wanted to do. And yeah, you heard the stories of the people who got caught. But what about the people who didn't get caught? There's a whole bunch of them too. And the reason why they didn't get caught is not because the government didn't want to catch them, because the government does not have enough staff to actually catch everything that's going on in the world. Any of you ever known about somebody doing something that is technically illegal, but they didn't get caught and nobody ever stopped them and they just went on doing it? Of course you have. Everybody's known someone who's done that, whether you knew about it or not. The problem is, not even the problem, the reason is the government simply does not have the resources. As big, as bloated, and as slow as it is, it still does not have enough resources to catch everything that's happening. So there was no environmental review of Alligator Alcatraz. I don't know if there needs to be or not, but there was none. And it's located in a protected Everglades ecosystem. And I mean, it's an ecosystem, which is for the animals. It's not for humans. And that's why people are calling this inhumane. But again, it's a facility. It's not like the snakes are coming in. Not like the alligators are coming in. And when we hear that story, then it may change this situation. So some say there are harsh living conditions here because it's hot. Now, it is hot in South Florida. I do agree to that. I don't know if they have air conditioning in Alligator Alcatraz. I'm assuming they have air conditioning because there are people who work there too. So you can't have people working there and they have no AC in the middle of South Florida and a swamp area, which is extremely humid in the middle of the damn summer. So I'm assuming that they have AC, or at least they got a whole bunch of industrial sized fans that you can sit in front of when it gets hot. So is the living condition harsh? Probably. Again, let's remember what we're talking about here, folks. It's not a hotel. It's a jail. This is not a resort. This is not the Fontainebleau Miami Beach. It's a fucking jail. All right, what are you expecting? It's jail. And when you're in jail, the conditions are supposed to be harsh. They're not supposed to be inhumane, but at the same time, they ain't luxury. So we got there's levels to this. You got luxury up here. You got harsh down here. You got inhumane lower than that. Calling it inhumane, you got to prove why it's inhumane. What's inhumane about it? Now, some say there may be bugs. Well, yeah. There are bugs in South Florida. Is that news to anybody? There are bugs everywhere in the summertime. Anywhere you go, there are going to be bugs. The bugs are attracted to human heat. When heat comes off your body, that attracts bugs. When you're sweating, that attracts bugs. Your scent attracts bugs. And we know that a lot of bugs like to bite. They draw blood from human beings. This is what they do. So are there going to be bugs? Yes. I don't consider that a harsh living condition. All right. How many of you right now have bugs where you are right now? You got bugs on your patio. You got bugs in your house. You got bugs in your kitchen. You go outside, there's bugs. Are you living in a harsh living condition? No. So just saying that something has bugs does not make it a harsh living condition. So I'm rejecting that point. Then they say isolation. People are isolated. And again, I'll say this for the 5th time here today, is jail. What the hell do you expect? How you in jail getting and complaining that you're isolated? That's what jail is. That's what it's supposed to do. Isolate you from the rest of society until you have paid your debt to society, or they kick you out of the country and you go back to wherever you came from. So isolation, again, this does not make for a harsh living condition. Being isolated is what's supposed to happen when you are incarcerated. And they say people have poor access to legal counsel. Well, I don't think that has anything to do with them being at Alligator Alcatraz, having poor access to legal counsel, if this is indeed true. I'm just going off some of the points that I've seen people say. Access to legal counsel usually happens through a phone call, or some paperwork being filed. So I don't know if they're not allowing these detainees to make a phone call or file some paperwork. I think they are. With all the attention that's being given to this facility, I don't think they can get away with doing that. And with all the people who have already sued the Trump administration for different reasons, like this guy, Mr. Garcia in Maryland, who they had this whole situation with that guy. Remember that whole story, the Maryland man? And they did this whole thing, and there's a whole bunch of Democrats who made this whole grand gesture of how they were going to help him and save him. And it was all really about Trump, not about helping him. And people even went down to, I forget what country he was from. They went down to the country and all this stuff. They finally got him sent back to the USA. As soon as he got back to the USA, they went through the process, sent him out of USA all over again. And notice nobody's talking about that anymore because it was all a show. This is all political theater just to show this your moral high ground position relative to Donald Trump. But nobody is fooled by this. So poor access to legal counsel, I don't think that's necessarily the case. And if you're here without proper documentation, what legal counsel do you need access to? Now, I understand constitutionally people get a right to an attorney. They get a right to state their case, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're here without proper documentation, you're leaving. I don't care what lawyer you call. You call Johnny Cochran if you want to. You are leaving. Call Matlock, call Alan Dershowitz. All right, you are here without proper documentation. You are leaving. The lawyer can only do but so much when they got you dead to rights on something that you weren't supposed to be doing. And again, I use this example. Go to another country and be there without proper documentation and get caught. You tell me what's going to happen. And I've known people who had this happen. They've been in another country. Their documentation was improper. Either their visa expired, they overstayed how long they're supposed to stay. A lot of countries you can go visit and you don't have to fill out a ton of paperwork. But the rule is you can stay in this country if you're not a citizen for 180 days. Let's say some states, some countries it'll be, you can stay here for 180 days every calendar year. So every calendar year you could be in this country for 180 days, but then you must leave. And then you can come back the next calendar year, and then your clock starts again in 180 days. Different countries have rules like that. Other countries have rules like you can be here for 90 days consecutively, then you must exit, and then you can come back and you can start another 90 days. You can be here for 90 days, leave for one day, come back, and now you got another 90 days to start. And it could be like that. And different countries have different rules, and they have different rules for which country you came from. So for Americans is one rule. If you come from Brazil, is a different rule. So every country has their own rules. America has rules. And the rule is you're here without proper documentation and you get caught, we're shipping you out. So I don't know what they're talking about, access to legal counsel. That's a catch-all term. It sounds good, but I'm not sure it really matters. Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell y'all to like the live. As y'all are watching, please like the live over on TikTok. We're at 27,000 likes, so thanks, everybody, for liking the lives. Even though I forgot to mention it. Like the lives to get up to 30,000 likes, folks, on TikTok. I'm going to get the comments in about 10 minutes, maybe less than that. So this is a political statement of strength by the Trump administration. I would say, yes, it is. Political statement of strength by the Trump administration on border control and immigration enforcement. Now, again, while not everybody may agree with what they're doing, I think we all can agree that Donald Trump and Tom Homan and everybody who's in support of Donald Trump / MAGA, nobody can say that Donald Trump has not done what he said he was going to do when it came to immigration, enforcing the borders, and keeping whoever is not supposed to be here without proper documentation, keeping them out. Nobody can say that he's not following through on what he said he was going to do on this subject. You may not agree with him on other subjects, but let's keep it on the topic here today. He said, enforce the border. He said, build a wall. He said, America first. He said, we're going to get the people who are here and shouldn't be here. We're going to find them. We're going to kick them out. He went and got Tom Homan. Tom Homan was on it from day one. Before day one started, I saw Tom Homan interviews, and he was on this, saying this is exactly what I'm going to do. This is what I've been hired to do, and this is what I'm going to do. And Tom Homan is doing it, and Kristi Noem is somewhere helping out. Okay. And they're doing everything they said they were going to do. So this is a strong show for the Trump administration simply because this is what he ran on. So a lot of people be talking about the Epstein thing, like, oh, Donald Trump ran on, he's going to release the Epstein. That's not what got him elected. Yes, some people cared about the Epstein. Most Americans don't give a damn about the Epstein thing. Why? Because the Epstein thing does not affect most Americans. Whatever Epstein did affected him, whoever might have been on his plane and at his island, and it affected the victims. Who else was affected by the Epstein situation? The answer is nobody. That is, this guy was doing whatever he was doing. Maybe he was an asset of somebody. How he got his money, we don't actually know. I'm going to do another live talking about the part that nobody's talking about, which is not the kids, it's not the list, it's the money. We're going to do a whole live talking about that. It's coming up. And people are only excited about Epstein now because this is the thing that the media has everybody talking about. Oh, well, Donald Trump said he was going to do this, and then Pam Bondi said that, and Bongino did this, and Kash Patel said this on Joe Rogan, and there's this whole thing now that people are trying to, basically people are saying or fronting as if they're holding the Trump administration accountable, quote unquote, because they're saying this guy ran on the Epstein thing, and he didn't do this, and he didn't do that, and people want to see the list, and people have a right to know, and why the hell does anybody care about the list? It's not like any of us who's listening to this, not like we're on the list. And I don't think anyone in our families are on the list. Why is everybody excited about the list? because it's an exciting thing. It's like putting a laser pointer on the curtains and letting your cat chase it around. That's what they're doing now. Everybody getting excited about the list or the files or whatever this shit is. And the real thing that Donald Trump ran on, getting back to my point, Donald Trump ran on border enforcement. That's what he ran on. If you had to pick the number one main issue that Donald Trump's campaigns have been built on for the last 3 election cycles, it's been the same thing, especially the 2 of them that he won, 2016 and 2024. It's border enforcement. In 2016, it was build a wall, America first. They're not sending their best. We're going to get these gang members out of here. That was Donald Trump's whole thing in 2016. And it's the reason why he won in 2016, because a lot of Americans agreed with him and were aligned with that mindset. In 2020, it was more, let me finish my job. He didn't get a chance to finish it. He was out for 4 years, came back in 2024, and he was able to use the exact same approach in 2024. The reason he was able to use that approach in 2024 is not because he ran out of ideas, but because of his opponent. And it's very smart when you're in a binary race to make sure you draw a clear line between yourself and your opponents to show everyone that there's a clear difference between me and them. And the clear difference between what Trump wanted to do, actually, the clear thing that the Biden administration did that made it easy for Trump, played right into his hands, was that they were not enforcing the border nearly as much as Trump is enforcing the border. And I'm being very kind in saying it that way. The Biden-Harris administration they pretty much were, how do y'all want to describe what they were doing with the border? And between 2021 and 2024, what was Biden and Harris, what were they doing with the border? I don't even know what you want to call that. All right, they just unlocked the door and just left it open, all right, and walked away. That's pretty much what they did. And they had this app where you could get, quote unquote, legal status within like a day. And there's a whole bunch of people coming into the country. We know that this was happening. And the reason why this ultimately ended up being bad strategy for Joe Biden / Kamala Harris was that this was Donald Trump's wheelhouse during his first campaign. They made it very easy for him to recycle the exact same approach for the 2024 election. And they waited so long to try to do something about the border. At the last minute, you had Kamala and Joe Biden, mostly Kamala was pushing this. We came up with this border bill, this bipartisan border bill that all sides were agreed to. And Donald Trump called his friends in Congress to block the bill so he could run his campaign on it. That was Kamala Harris's. She preached that during her short 100-day failed run at the presidency. And the thing is, what she said was not technically false, but it was misleading because she wasn't telling the whole story. The rest of the story was we had the reason we needed a border bill in the summer of 2024 is because we did nothing to enforce the border from 2021 all the way up through half of 2024. So now that Donald Trump is going to use it against us, now all of a sudden we're going to do something about it. It was too little, too late, and the public saw through this. Now, had the same situation happened 20 years ago, Kamala would have got away with that. The problem is in 2024, we all had and we have access to the internet, so we don't have to believe something that a politician or that CNN says to us. We can go online, you can listen to a YouTuber or a TikToker or a podcaster tell you what's actually happening, and more people believe them than believe politicians these days. That's why this is a failing strategy for them. One, the whole concept of we're trying to fix the border with a bill. Two, because everybody knew exactly what they were doing for 3.5 years. This was not news. So it was just they got punched in the face. There was nothing they could do about it. What happened there? The point being, Donald Trump ran on border security. All right, this is not disputable. His whole campaign, first time and the third time, was border security, and he's doing it right now. Again, whether you like him or not, you can't say he lied on that point. Now, this is viewed as theatrical and fear-driven rather than a real immigration solution. I would say to that I don't think there needs to be an immigration solution in the United States of America. I don't care who the president is. Please keep liking and live, folks. Let's get up to 40,000. I don't care who the president is, Democrat, Republican. If it's Kamala, if it's J.D. Vance, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, John F. Kennedy, doesn't matter. We don't need a solution to immigration. Immigration is just a thing. Immigration is not a problem. It becomes a problem when it's not handled the right way, such as we have laws when it comes to immigration. If no one's enforcing the laws, now it's a problem. The problem is not immigration. The problem is the enforcement of immigration laws. The problem is not the border. The problem is, are we enforcing the border? The problem is not immigrants coming into the country as people. The problem is, are the immigrants coming into the country doing it under the proper processes and following the proper protocols and getting the proper documentation? The problem is not immigration in itself. The problem is, are we enforcing our rules on immigration? And when we don't enforce the rules, then it looks like the whole thing becomes a problem. But that's not the problem. The problem is just the enforcement. Donald Trump has fixed the problem of enforcement. Nothing Donald Trump is doing is outside of the purview of what the actual rules and laws are that are on the books, in case any of you didn't know. I know many of you have been indoctrinated to believe that Donald Trump has somehow just come up with some new rules and new approach to border enforcement that isn't a normal thing. No, he didn't. All he's doing is enforcing the rules we already got. That's all he's doing. And the reason why it looks so extreme, or it doesn't even look extreme, it feels extreme, is because A, all of his political opponents take everything he does and try to exacerbate it and hyperbolize it and make it seem like he's doing something crazy. B, if you contrast it to what his predecessor was doing, it seems as being extreme, but it's actually not. But everything he's doing is within the confines of the rules and laws that are already on the books, not anything that he created, just things that he started doing. He just said, we're going to enforce our borders. As soon as he started enforcing the borders, it seemed like he was being extreme. No, that's just what enforcing the law looks like. We got so used to seeing the law not being enforced, and when he started enforcing it, all of a sudden it seemed like he was doing something crazy. No, he wasn't. No, he isn't. So this place, Alligator, Alcatraz, 24/7 surveillance with cameras, drones, armed guards to prevent escape. Okay, so anybody worrying about an escapee getting eaten by an alligator, good news. They got drones, armed guards, and cameras to make sure that you don't escape. So that means you can't get eaten by an alligator or a snake because you can't escape in the first place because they're watching you 24/7. So anybody worried about somebody getting eaten by an alligator, there you go. That solves that problem. 24/7 surveillance, cameras, drones, and armed guards. All right, so ain't nobody going nowhere. The only place you're going is on a plane. You're getting deported out of the United States where you belong. This relies on nature's cruelty, they say. It weaponizes geography to psychologically punish detainees. All right, this is nonsense. All right, it sounds good, but it's nonsense. All right, again, how are you going to get out of a place that has a 30-foot high wall and they got drones watching you, 24/7 cameras, and armed guards? How are you going to get out? All right, somebody tell me, how would you get out of a place like that? Armed guards, 24/7 cameras, and drones watching you. And the wall is 30 foot high. All right, please explain to me your plan for how you want to get out of this place. So then you only got to deal with the alligators. I think you got to deal with the people first. That's how I see it. Now, anybody got a plan how you going to get out of here? I don't see it. I don't see how this is going to happen. So they're saying it relies on nature's cruelty. When people start saying shit like this is when you know they have nothing left. When people start going to the emotions, or they start going to the ad hominem, or they start trying to play these moral superiority cards, this is when they have no substance. There's no logic to their argument. There's no rationality. They're just coming up with anything because if they appeal to somebody's emotions, it bypasses the logical centers of the brain. And now we're having a conversation about a whole bunch of nothing, pretty much. And that's where we're at when it comes to this Alligator Alcatraz thing. Now, they say this can be replicated in other regions for rapid migration response. I say, yes, that's true. And this will happen. So that's something that y'all should know. That's going to happen. In the future, what's going to happen is the Trump administration is going to do more places like Alligator Alcatraz. It's not going to be called Alligator Alcatraz, of course, because we're the place with the alligators. But they maybe come up with other funny names for these places. Or what you should be paying attention to is that they're going to open a bunch of these that are not going to have funny names. They're not going to get news coverage. And they're still going to do it anyway. That's really what's going to happen. And y'all not going to hear about it. And I won't be doing a live stream on it because it won't be news. That's what's going to happen. Now that this one is working, they're going to open up 5,000 housing facilities all over the country, at least in the places nearest the border. So you'll see these in Texas. You'll probably see these they might try to do it in California, but it's going to be harder in California because the governor is not going to help. But in Texas, the governor will help. You'll probably see more of them in Florida. They're not going to get announced. And this is what's going to happen. And some tribal groups, environmentalists, civil rights activists are going to give backlash, but this is what they do. That's their full-time job, giving backlash to everything. So it's like, all right, we heard it before. All right, in other news, the sky is blue and water is wet. All right, they're going to be backlash against something that Donald Trump did. This is the problem, folks. If you're not a Donald Trump supporter, the problem with the people who are out or against Donald Trump is that when you take every single thing that he does, says, or anything you think he thinks, or every time he breathes, and you try to turn it into a controversy, it gets to a point where people stop listening. They start tuning you out. Like, okay, all right, Donald Trump did something. You're upset. Yeah, we know. You have to save those for when it actually matters. It's the same thing that I tell black people when it comes to the concept of racism. You keep calling everything racism, and people stop listening when you scream racism. You can't keep doing it every single time because now you used it up. and now nobody wants to hear it anymore. It's like the boy who cried wolf. Like you keep crying wolf, eventually people are going to realize you're joking, and then when a real wolf comes, nobody comes to save you, and now you get eaten alive by a wolf. You can't keep doing this. This is the problem with people who are these TDS sufferers. You need to see a doctor for this because you're going to keep using this to the point that nobody wants to hear it anymore. And now nobody believes you when there's a real issue about Trump and people using it up on this Epstein thing. Again, who is the Epstein files situation? Who is it actually affecting? How many everyday people are being affected by this? If you weren't a victim of Epstein, then it's not really affecting you. You knowing who's in the files, what is that going to do for you? Absolutely nothing. So people are they're using up their currency on that, using up your currency on this thing, using up your currency on what's another thing Donald Trump did you're mad about. All right, you can't keep doing this because now people are not listening. And this is the problem that the Democrats have right now. I said this yesterday. I'll say it again today. I'll say it again in the future. Biggest problem that the Democrats have right now is that their entire being is all about going against anything Donald Trump does. They have no form of their own. When your entire existence is all based on someone that's not you, eventually people are going to look at you and say, okay, well, who are you now? We get it. You got us all excited about that person, but what about you? Who are you? And the Democrats don't have an answer to this question as of today's recording. Now, if that changes, then I'll come on here and I'll talk about it. If that changes, I will talk about it. I guarantee you that. But if somebody has an answer to that, who are the Democrats? We don't know. All they are is the anti-Trump side. So anything Trump does, they go against it, and that's their identity right now. Problem with that is, who are you? You're nobody. So anyway, let's get into the comments here. We got 40 minutes to get to comments. We're at 43,000 likes, folks. Let's get it to 50K, please. Let's get to 50K likes. Let's get to 45,000 before I start responding to these comments. Before I start responding to comments, tap the screen, folks. Get the likes up. Let me not pull Kevin Samuels on y'all. I don't have the background music. I got to come up with some background music. I got to get in touch with Kevin Samuels people. Let me see if I can get his background music that he had before. Thank you for that crab hat, whoever just put that on there. Let me get 1,000 more likes. Let's get up to 45,000. Tap the screen, everybody. We got 159 people in here. If each of you just tap the screen for like 10 seconds, we'll be at 45,000 likes in no time. Then we'll just get into these comments. I'm reading the comments from oldest to newest. Thank you. We're at 45,000. I'm reading from oldest to newest, but I can only go up but so far. So some of the comments got pushed out by the newer comments because there's so many. So I'm not ignoring you if I don't read your comment. I'm just reading the ones I can see. Do not spam my comments. Do not post the same comment 8 times. We will kick you out of here if you do that. All right. Papa Lane Yet said, having homeless folks on the streets is a way for the city to make money. I saw PBS had a documentary on this, but I haven't watched it yet or listened to it. Most of y'all just listen to them. I haven't gotten to that yet, but I have heard this point before, but I'm going to look into that and find out what that means. The Truth said, keep it real. Traitor Trump is a traitor to America and an American idea that he dreams. How? On what basis? Tina Barbie Mills said, I help homeless people but don't want to go to shelters because they don't want to follow rules. I've heard that. Tina, I've heard people say that some homeless people are homeless by choice because they get offered a shelter, but they don't want to go in the shelter because in the shelter, you got to follow rules and they don't want to follow the rules. I've heard that many times. So Tina, you're a social worker? I've known some social workers, and one of my a girl I used to know was a social worker, and this guy who's material I follow named Dan Kennedy. He's an older guy. He's in his 70s now, but one of the jokes that he always makes is that he will be the most efficient social worker in history. Get a job next. Get a job next. It's a funny joke said in the right context. Anyway, Lacey River, thank you for the gift. High class white trash says, see how Biden reallocated federal money to profit these private companies who own detention centers. Okay. It's stated for the record. Joel said, your hate has blinded you. Who do I hate? Who am I hating? So Lacey, you co-signed that government point. Yeah. Jeray says, when I was in high school years ago, your old videos helped me develop and make the basketball team. So I appreciate you. Congratulations to you, Jeray. Glad that stuff helped you back in the day. How old are you now? You said when you were in high school. So when was that? Let's see. I'm reading the comments right now, folks. So the heck said they have AC. Well, I'm sure they got AC. I mean, they got free humans who would just work there. They got to have AC. Can't not have AC in South Florida. Cosmo said many prisons have no AC. Well, it depends on where that prison's at. There's no prison in South Florida that doesn't have AC. That's not a thing. Because, again, you got free legal Americans who work there. So how you going to have them working in a place with no AC? That's not possible. Lynn Jessica, thank you for the follow. Carter said, call it what it is, a concentration camp. What makes it a concentration camp? And Carter, you spam my comments. Now I'm gonna give you a pass here. I don't give passes that often. I'm gonna give you a pass because I said it. You did this before I said it. So do not spam my comments by saying the same thing 8 times because you will get blocked. But Heck said they can self-deport before entering. Well, self-deport means you got to buy a plane ticket, right? Renting Palm Beach said, I heard a Mexican jail isn't pretty. Yeah, I know some people who've been in Mexican jails, and that's correct. It is not pretty. Miss Denise said there are mags in the food and there are no beds. Well, it depends on what you call bed. Again, there are jails where the beds are not what you probably would consider a bed either. But that ain't new. Racy said, I lived in Europe and it isn't pretty if you're caught. Yeah, it's not pretty anywhere in the world if you get caught violating the country's rules. That's the whole point, especially if you're a visitor. Ellen Mary Nettles, thank you for the goats. The conservative immigrant, good morning, thank you. Alfred Simpson, thanks for the follow. The conservative said, this is a deterrent, that's all. Okay, fair enough. But Heck said, Trump is trying to clean up Biden's mess. Well, this was a mess before Biden because Trump ran on this in 2016. This was before Biden was even president. Gil Gimush, what is this comment you're asking about? Bear spray? I don't know what you're talking about. Meinzen works, so his handlers are getting what they wanted. Whose handlers? Who are you talking about? T1J said Trump is over. I don't know about that. I think you got about 3 more years. Mahek said Holman was appointed by Obama. Was he evil then? Well, see, nobody knew who he was then. Assuming what you're saying is correct. Box Chevy said, do I feel this administration is racist? No. How can an entire administration be racist? Administration is like hundreds of people. So how can an entire administration be racist? And racist against who? Why are you even asking that question? T1J said, everyone was affected. When kids get hurt in America, that hurts us all. Nah, I don't know about that. I don't agree. I wasn't hurt. How was I hurt by the Epstein situation? I saw the documentary and they showed the kids who were affected. How does that hurt me? Please explain to me how I was hurt and I don't even know about it. Misen said, children who see American says it's okay. I don't know what that means. Please use grammatically correct language, folks, when you leave comments. Jack said, no more two-tiered justice. What does that mean? Gil Gimush said, people going missing so fun. What are you referring to? I don't know what you're talking about. I can't even give you a straw man because I don't even know what you're talking about. Fox Chevy said, he says he wants to make America great again. Yeah, he's been saying that for 10 years. Is that news? Noah said, how has Border Patrol made America great when people can't afford food and shelter? FOH. Well, this is a straw man question. So, Noah, you get the straw man of the day. You get the first straw man of the day award. I predict you will not be the last person to get the straw man of the day award. For those of you who don't know what a straw man is, I got to explain this every day. Straw man is a common logical fallacy, one of the most common that people use when they disagree with something. It's when you take someone's point, you rephrase it into something that they did not say, then you represent it in your form of what they said, i.e. the straw man. Then you beat up the straw man, and then you, I guess you believe or you proclaim that you have won the conversation because you beat up a straw man version of the point rather than the actual point. You didn't address my actual point. I said Donald Trump's thing was make America great again. Now, your question is, how has Border Patrol made America great? You put 3 question marks as if Border Patrol is the key to making America great. No, making America great is an open-ended statement that can be interpreted in any way that you wish. Now, you're asking how has Border Patrol made America great when people can't afford food and shelter? So what you're doing here is called the relative privation fallacy. Relative privation is when you take one thing that someone is focusing on and say, well, why are you focusing on that when we got this problem? So it's like saying, why are you focusing on Border Patrol when there are people in America who don't have food? That's called the relative privation, and it's a way of minimizing someone's issue by pointing out something that is bigger, as if focusing on this other thing is completely invalid simply because there's a bigger problem going on. There are always bigger problems. No matter what problem you point out, there's a bigger or quote unquote more important problem you could address. That does not invalidate the actual issue being discussed. So the president saying we're going to enforce our border does not mean that there are not homeless people and people who can't have food. But that doesn't mean that it also doesn't mean you can't spend 24 hours a day focusing on people who don't have food. Because Noah, just to hold you accountable here, if it was so important to you for people to have food, why are you on TikTok leaving comments on the live stream? I mean, if it's so important, what you doing on TikTok? You should be out feeding homeless people right now, but you're not doing it. You're on TikTok leaving comments. So clearly you don't care that much about it because you're just talking and you ain't doing nothing. So that's why you got the straw man of the day. You got number one, but there will be more. Next. Adam Salazar said, I'm so glad I'm a witness to the downfall of this nation in my lifetime. No, you're not. How old are you? And do you live here? And if the nation downfalls, you're going down with it. So I don't think that's a good idea. Bach Chevy said, I'm a black man. Okay. And Bay Area said Biden won because black people vote for racial politics equal Kamala. That's why Biden won. No, that was part of why Biden won. That wasn't his main thing. The main reason Biden won is because he was not Trump. His whole campaign was, I'm not Donald Trump, so vote for me. And they tried to recycle that campaign in 2024. It just didn't work. It worked one time, didn't work in 2024. And actually, there were two reasons Biden won in 2020. One was, I'm not Donald Trump, and the other one was the virus. Those are two reasons why Biden won in 2020. Any president who was president when the virus hit, you didn't quite have an answer to it. All you had to do was use that against him. And that's basically what Biden did. The two things Biden used in that whole campaign was Donald Trump messed up the response to the virus. There was no right way to respond to the virus at that time. We didn't know anything. We were just figuring it out as we went along. And Donald Trump had to eat that. And I'm not Donald Trump. So those two things combined was enough for Biden to win. Biden didn't have to do anything. Biden didn't win because he was Biden. He won because he wasn't Trump and because of that virus. And in 2024, there was no virus. Kamala tried to run the I'm not Trump thing, and it didn't work. That's what happened. Colton Wade said nothing. That's what I say he did with the border. Yes, fair enough. T1 said Trump only won both times because America isn't ready to vote for a woman president. He lost to Biden. He won only because of that? No, I don't think so. That sounds good. It's a appeal to emotion fallacy. It's an appeal to pity fallacy. It's a moral superiority fallacy. So you got three fallacies in one. We got to come up with an award for people who do multiple fallacies in one statement. So people saying, no, the only reason Trump won because people don't want to vote for a woman. No, Trump won because he was a better candidate. And the candidate he beat just happened to be a woman. The fact that she's a woman is not the reason that she lost. She lost because she just wasn't a good candidate. That is specifically applied to Kamala. It is less applied to Hillary. Hillary was actually better than Kamala, but Trump just beat them. Why can't you just have lost? Because, see, here's the thing. Had Kamala won, it would be she's the president and a woman that can do everything a man can do, et cetera, et cetera. See, when a woman goes up against a man in some way or does something equal or superior to a man, it's, well, women can do everything a man can do, and a woman is equal to a man, and feminism and all, women power and all this stuff. But then when a woman loses to a man, it's, oh, well, you only beat her because she's a woman. Pick a lane. Which one is it? Is it women are equal to men, they can do everything a man can do, or is it, oh, you only won because you're a man? If that's the case, then women need to be in the number 2 spot at all times. If a woman can be in the number 1 spot, then she got to get treated like a man even when she loses. And I talked about this yesterday at the end of the live. When Kamala lost in November of 2024, she had a rally at Howard University. And when it was clear that she had lost, she didn't even come out to speak to her own fans who came to her rally on election night. She didn't even come out to speak to them. She sent a man out there, a black man, out there to speak for her and say, we didn't win. We didn't win. The fight continues. Kamala's not going to speak tonight. She's going to speak tomorrow. So all those fans who came to the event to watch her and support her on election night, she didn't come out to even acknowledge them when it was clear that she had lost. And again, if we're treating men like men and women can do everything a man can do, there should have been a big story about the fact that she didn't show up that night. Nobody talked about it. A lot of you didn't even know that was true. But if you look it up, the video's online. The video's on YouTube. Go look up that video. Kamala election night rally. You're going to see a man come out on stage and explain to the crowd that Kamala's not going to come address her own fans the night that she lost. And the next day she gave a speech. She wouldn't give a speech that night. Why did she give a speech that night? And then here's another question. Had she won, would she have come out and spoke? Now, everybody knows the answer to that question. So miss me with the he only beat a woman nonsense, because she wouldn't be only a woman had she won. She was only a woman only when she lost. C-Suite said, we're releasing the Epstein files increase probability of prosecutions. Well, it depends. What's in the files? Are there files? So there's two things. Are there files in addition to what we already know? There already are Epstein files. They came out already. People have seen them. They're heavily redacted. The names of the victims are blacked out, and other perpetrators are not mentioned. So if there are more files, first of all, there has to be proof that there actually are files. And number two, is there anybody in them? And number three, we don't know. It depends on what's in it. And I would say C-suite, if there were more files and people who would be prosecuted, they probably would have already did it. I think they would have did it already. So I highly doubt there will be more probability, yes, but likelihood, I say probably not. T1 said Trump is in the files. It's so obvious. Well, the only way it'd be obvious is if you see the files and you see his name. Until then, it's not obvious. But it feels good to say. People who don't like Trump, they can say that. Well, it's obvious Trump's in the files. Trump's in the files. Okay. And you say that, and now what? Bay Area said Kamala lost because Democrats didn't have anything for black people equal most loyal constituents. Then black people still majority voted for Kamala. Gilgamesh said the dude is spreading. What did I spread that was not true? Please point it out. Adam said, yes, it's a suit and blue eyes that has him feeling himself. What is it about TikTok that has people thinking that my eyes are blue? My eyes are not blue. When you ever seen a black man with blue eyes? Where's it? Why every day on TikTok? It's been every day for like the last 2 weeks. Somebody leaves some comment talking about my eyes are blue. I guess some people, I don't know. Maybe the females, maybe you like blue eyes, but my eyes are not blue. Have you ever seen a black man with blue eyes? And my contacts are clear. I wear contact lenses, but they're clear contact lenses. They're not blue. So I don't know what y'all are talking about. And Giggly Mush, you said I was reported, or you got to get blocked for that. No, so now Giggly Mush is blocked. My moderators are in here. Get these people out of here. Anybody coming here talking about reporting me, they get blocked immediately. As soon as they say that, they're blocked. So where was I? All right, so Annie said he's not lying, expressing his opinion. Yes, this is what I did. And let's see. Jennifer, good morning. Good to see you. Bay said Dems will never win again if they don't give black people reparations they've shown for illegals. Well, I think Dems will win again even without the reparations. I don't think reparations is going to happen. Not the type that I think you're alluding to, which is give black people a bag of money. I will take the money if they do it. I don't think it's going to happen, though. T1 said MAGA's turning on each other. Yeah, every other week, the people who don't like MAGA say MAGA's turning on each other. So, yeah, fine. T1 said the files are the first domino. And I don't know about that. If that was the case, why didn't Biden put the files out? So anyone who is claiming that Donald Trump's in the files, why didn't Biden put them out? The Epstein thing happened in 2019. So why didn't Biden put the files out? They had them. Let's see. And he said, Alligator Alcatraz is only a name. Yes, that's not even the actual name. I don't know what the actual name is. Angie Cooper, thanks for the follow. Lacey said, I think they're going to build these all over the nation. Oh, they are. They probably already building them. It's just they didn't get news coverage. Nobody's talking about them because this is the one that got everybody all excited. But they're already building these, and they probably already exist. Just nobody's talking about it. Boxy said, release the Jeffrey Epstein, not Albert, Jeffrey. Jeffrey is his first name. And stop spamming my comments, Box Chevy. Uncle T-Bone said, what if it isn't crying wolf? All of what he does is unconstitutional. Okay, but you had to prove it. And there have been court cases, but then the cases come, then the cases go, and then whatever he was doing, he ends up doing anyway. So if it's unconstitutional, how does it happen anyway? And he said they're mad about everything. Well, this is how politics go. Nathan Sherlock, thanks for the follow. Adam said, I wouldn't give you the time of day either if I was a girl. You give me the time of day right now. You're watching my live and leaving comments. What are you talking about? Well, Heck said, I don't care about Epstein. People are curious, but we have bigger fish to fry. Yeah, I'm curious if there are actual files and they put it out and there's names in it. I promise you I will talk about it. But if they never put it out, so what? It doesn't affect me positively or negatively if they ever put the files, if they even exist, out. Cody said, "What's your favorite book to read right now, centered around business self-improvement?" Well, to read right now, I'll read a book, then I'm finished with the book. I may come back to it. But if I had to give you one around business self-improvement, one I just read, it's not really about business, but it can apply, is Essentialism by Greg McKeown. That's a good one. I just read that one like last week. It's you can read it pretty quickly. I read it in like 3-4 days. Janina said, because Trump is going against the United States Constitution. Yeah, that's what everybody says. But you got to prove it. And I don't believe he's going against the Constitution. He's doing things that people are trying to find loopholes. They're trying to find, what's the word? They're trying to find, there's a certain term I'm looking for that's escaping me, but they're trying to find little details in what Donald Trump does. And they're trying to draw a line, a logic jump between what he does and they claim is going against the Constitution. Then they file a lawsuit and they get the district and the circuit judges involved, and they make it seem like, he's going against the Constitution because, look, we're taking it to court. Just because you take something to court does not mean somebody's breaking the law. It could mean you're just using the legal system as political theater, because politicians, it doesn't cost them money to have to do this kind of stuff. The same way it would cost an everyday person money. They're just using the system. The money that is getting paid to the people who are doing all the legal work, that's your money. That's coming out of your pocket. So if you think he's going against the Constitution and you really think they should fight, okay, that's your tax dollars paying for it. So don't complain when the tax dollars are not available to go to something else. So you want them to fight Donald Trump because he's quote unquote going against the Constitution? Okay. Now, when there's no money left to pay for the other stuff that you care about, don't complain, because you are okay with them using that money to quote unquote fight the guy going against the Constitution. Pick a struggle. Which one you want? I don't think fighting him because he's quote unquote going against the Constitution is worth it, because he's pretty much going to do what he wants to do. Why? Because he's the damn president and we chose him. We all chose him, whether you voted for him or not. We chose him. So fighting him in court to try to delay what he does is not actually achieving anything. Let's get the likes up, folks. Let's get up to 70,000 likes. All he's doing is making the politicians who are fighting him, quote unquote, look like they're heroic, so that the people who have TDS can feel like something's happening that makes them feel good, because they can't feel good about the fact that Trump won. So they're dealing with this cognitive dissonance over what happened, because you got 3.5 years to go. So to fight the cognitive dissonance, or let me go do something that makes it seem like I'm fighting against him, when your chance to fight against him was last November. All right, you lost. That's it. Nightwalk said that's incorrect. What's incorrect? Let's see. Nightwalk said progressives and Democrats are looking to the midterms at this point. Well, they've been looking to the midterms. They've been looking to the midterms since November the 7th. All right, after the election, they start looking to the midterms. That's the next chance they got to win. Renting Palm Beach said FYP. Cial Link said, what are your pronouns? You tell me. Cody Downward, thank you for the follow. Well, heck said they offer plane tickets in cash. So if you just say you're going to deport, they'll give you a plane ticket and they'll give you money. Oh, okay. All right, that's interesting. And he said Biden made it worse in his term. If you're talking about the border, then you're right. Yes, he did. Kathleen said Biden let millions in the country. I say it's a Biden problem. Well, there were people coming in, well, not during Trump, but before that. So, yeah, Biden did create, I believe he exacerbated. I wouldn't say he created it, because the border has always been there. So he exacerbated it. Beth said, you seem annoyed today. No, I talk like this every day. Lisa said, life is simple, people complicated. Generally true. Annie, what does that say? Does that say Trump? Patty said, I really enjoy your lives. Thank you. Think you're killing it. Thank you. Leslie said, Trump is woefully unqualified. Unqualified for what? He ran for president and more than half of the voting population voted for him. So if he's unqualified, according to what metric? Who's the judge of qualification? If you're running for president in America, the qualification is how many people vote for you. He won. So how are you going to say he's unqualified? Leslie said he should have made space for Kamala sooner. No, that's not the way it works, Leslie. The way it actually works in America is that if you want to be president, you get into the primary You go through the gauntlet and you beat everybody else who wants to be president. And if you beat everybody, then nobody has to make space for you. You take space. If someone is making space for you, that means you didn't earn it. Leadership is not given. Leadership is taken. The fact that I said this yesterday, I talked about this at the end of my live yesterday. If you want to be president in America, you got to go through the gauntlet and you got to beat everybody else who also wants to be president. This is called the primary. Kamala tried to do the primary in 2019. She failed so poorly, miserably, that she dropped her campaign before they even started casting votes. In 2024, Biden said, I'm going to keep running. Then it was too late when he finally dropped out. It was too late, at least according to the Democrats. And they said, we're not going to do a primary. It wouldn't be enough time. So we're just going to give it to Kamala. They gave it to Kamala, and y'all saw how that turned out. Had there been an open primary, Kamala would not have won. I don't care if that primary took a week. I don't care if it took a year. She would not have won. She wouldn't have beat all the other candidates who would have stepped up at that time. So they rationalized that we got to give it to Kamala because she was already the VP, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that would be a beautiful story had she won the election. But she didn't win the election because she was not a strong candidate. And the main reason I say she's not a strong candidate because she did not go through the gauntlet, period. I don't care. And I don't want to say anything about her policies or what she did back in the day or any of that. She didn't go through the gauntlet. And I come from the professional sports world. And in the professional sports world, you have to earn it. You can talk all you want. You got to get on the court or on the field or on the track or on the pool, and you must prove it. And you got to beat everybody else who thinks they're going to prove it. If you do that, then you win. That's plain black and white. In politics, you got to beat everybody else. If you didn't beat anybody, you can't say you're qualified. She didn't beat anybody. Donald Trump beat everybody to the point that in 2024, when he said he was going to run, nobody tried to even go against him. He didn't even have to beat anybody because they all said, all right, I ain't going to win, so I might as well just fall back. Every Republican fell back when he said he was running in 2024. RB said they also didn't want a woman. That wasn't the reason that she lost. That's a good appeal to emotion, appeal to pity, moral superiority play, but that's not why she lost. Heck said the trifecta award. We might start using that. If someone has 3 logical fallacies in one statement, then I might give them the trifecta. The problem is a lot of people have 3 fallacies in one statement, don't even know that they're doing it. And they're not really doing it intentionally. So I don't know. I'll think about it. Let's see. Daniel, good to see you. Thank you. The Truth Sayer, thanks for the follow. Christy said, why aren't we choosing better female candidates? We have some great choices. Be ready next time. Well, what makes someone a good candidate when it comes to the presidency of the United States of America is you must go through the gauntlet. So it's not about our personal opinions, who's good and who's bad. It's about, can they beat everybody else? So any female who wants to run, go run. You got to beat everybody. You got to beat the other women and you got to beat the men. And it's not, oh, she lost because she's a woman. No, if you want to compete with the men, then you get judged like the men. It's not a woman is all powerful. I'm a woman, hear me roar when she wins. And then when she loses, is, oh, well, they didn't want a woman. See, that's bullshit. We're not playing this game. If you're in the game, you're in the game. It's like you get in a boxing ring. You can't get in the boxing ring and get beat up and then say, oh, well, you only beat me up because I never boxed before. What the hell are you getting in the ring for? What you get in the ring for? If you couldn't fight, don't get in the ring. You get in the ring, you might get punched in your mouth. You want to get into politics, you got to beat everybody, male, female, whatever. Not, oh, I'm a woman. That's the reason why I lost. No, don't let her hear that shit. She going to say that when she's president and our country gets invaded? Oh, they only invaded us because I'm a woman. Okay. Now we got soldiers at our front door from an invading country and, oh, it's okay because they only did it because she's a woman. No, I don't want to hear that. If you're going to be the leader, you can't pull the, oh, they only did it, I only lost because I'm this, or this only happened because I'm this identity, that identity when it goes bad. You beat everybody, not just the people who you want to compete against. It's like saying that the Honda Civic is the fastest car amongst Hondas. Yeah, amongst other Hondas, yeah, the Civic is the fastest car. Does that really matter? Let's put a Ferrari in a race. Are you still the fastest car? So anyway, where are we? I lost my spot in the comments. Truth Sayer said Dems had the list before Trump was in office. Yes, exactly. So why'd they put it out? If Trump was in it, they could have put that out. Rub Dak said it's the right reflection. Yeah, I guess that must be it. Rose said black men have all different colors of eyes. That wasn't the question, Rose. I said, have you seen a black man with blue eyes? I didn't say do they have different colors. I said, have you seen a black man with blue eyes? Ohio says the lighting that makes your eyes look like a darkest blue. Okay, that makes sense. Arthur said, I've seen green, but not blue. Yeah, I've seen green. I've never seen a black man with blue eyes. Tucker said, my son is mixed black, white with blue eyes. Well, maybe because he's mixed. Maybe that's why. I'm not mixed. Lacey said, I think it's the lights and color of your suit and tie that cause your eyes to appear blue. Okay, that must be it. Najee said, reparations is not always in cash. Well, what other reparations you talking? The government has already given it out. Now, you heard of affirmative action. You heard of DEI. You heard of the Civil Rights Act. You heard of Equal Opportunity Acts. These things have been done for 60 years. So if you're looking for something other than cash, it's already been given out. That bill has already been paid. Sissy said Biden is on the list, on the Epstein list. Well, I think if there is a list of people, it's probably a bunch of people on both sides of the aisle. That's why the list is not going to come out. Not today said we already have detention facilities all over the country. Yeah, they're going to build more. That's what I'm saying. They're going to keep building them quietly, and there's not going to be news. Jeet Du Cadre, thank you for the follow. CJ Hates Politics, thanks for the follow. True Sayer said people still think we are a democracy and not a constitutional republic. Well, a lot of people don't know what a constitutional republic even is. So, yes, a lot of people do think that. Deb Queen said, great comeback at him. I don't know who you're referring to, but thanks. Jeet said, thank you for using critical thinking. You're welcome. I like critical thinking. True Sayer said, pure democracy is just mob rule. Yes, that if it was pure democracy, that'd be true. And he said, how's he going against the Constitution? Nobody can actually answer the question. The politicians tell you that he's going against the Constitution, so we're going to sue him. And then they take him to court, and then it looks like they're doing something. Oh, he must be going against the Constitution because they took him to court. Not really. People are weaponizing the justice system against him. That's what they're doing. Were y'all not alive last year? Did y'all see what happened to Donald Trump in 2024? He had 4 cases. They weaponized the system against him. And they're doing it now. He's the president. Papa said, Trump is my president, and he's the only one I can at least trust. Okay, fair enough. You're entitled to that position. Chubby said, hi from Florida. Shout out to Florida. Diana said, so you think the way he is treating immigrants is okay? All right, those of you who've been around for a while know exactly what this one is. Straw man of the day, number 2. Diana, congratulations. What is a straw man? Let me explain again. Straw man is when someone takes something that you said, they rephrase it into something that you didn't say, then they re-present it to you in the form of a statement with ridicule or a question or a comment as if they are using your own words against you when they're actually not. This is a straw man. So you basically took my argument and you made a man of straw out of it, and now you're trying to question me about your version of what I said. My version of what I said is better than yours, Diana. Please don't rephrase my words because I'm really good at putting my words in the proper context. You said, so is often the tell for a straw man. Often follows a straw man when someone starts a statement with so, and that means they're about to say something different than what you said. You think, that's me, the way he is treating immigrants is okay. Let's parse this down because there are several things wrong with this comment. Let's get the likes up, folks. We're at 75K. Let's get to 100K in the next 10 minutes, please. The way he is treating immigrants. First of all, there are plenty of immigrants here who have done the proper process, followed the proper protocols, and have proper documentation. He's not doing anything to those people. So that's not who we're talking about here. We're talking about people who have come into the country and do not have proper documentation. Okay, so let's be clear exactly who we're referring to when we talk about the subject. So it's not immigrants. It's people without proper documentation. And the way he is treating them. Donald Trump is not treating them in any way. What Donald Trump is saying, and he is sending his people to do, is enforce the laws that are on the books. These laws were not created by Donald Trump. They are only being enforced by the government run by Donald Trump because that's what the president is supposed to do, enforce the laws on the books. Actually, the judicial system is supposed to enforce the laws on the books. And the way the government works is that the president has the power to basically tell the people in his administration to enforce the laws more strongly or to enforce them more leniently. You saw this with Joe Biden, contrasted with what Donald Trump is doing. They both had the same amount of power. They decided how much they wanted to enforce the laws on the books. Donald Trump simply enforces the laws more strictly than Joe Biden was. And the fact of the matter is a scientific point called entropy, that when you do not enforce laws, rules, borders, and parameters, you get chaos. That is a scientific fact. When you don't enforce the rules, you get chaos because there are no parameters keeping chaos out. Chaos is the natural outcome of leaving anything to its own devices. You don't enforce anything on something, you get chaos. You put a classroom of second graders together and there's no teacher in the room is going to be a zoo. Not because the kids are bad kids, but because natural chaos is the natural thing that happens when you leave something without rules. When you don't enforce rules, you get chaos. When Joe Biden did not enforce the border rules, we got chaos at the border. All Donald Trump is doing is enforcing the rules, and it feels like he's doing something crazy because people got used to chaos for 4 years. So Diana, hopefully that answers your question. It's not the way he's treating anybody. It's all he's doing is enforcing rules. And when you're used to not having rules enforced upon you, and then someone puts rules on you, it feels like you're being restricted when actually you're just being disciplined. So hopefully that answers your question. The truth sayer, thanks for the follow. Kathleen said, Biden allowed our country to be invaded. Some people look at it that way, and I couldn't say that you're wrong. Britney Spears, stay-at-home mom, says, can you explain why you feel we all chose him? Yes, we all chose him because we have a democratic voting process and majority rules when it comes to the electoral college, at least. The majority said Donald Trump. So everyone who lives here chose Donald Trump. Whether you voted for him, whether you voted against him, whether you didn't vote at all, everyone chose him because you're part of America, and America said Donald Trump. Are you an American? Yes? Okay, you chose Donald Trump. That's how. Ray said, why they say Mondani is unqualified. I don't know who they is. So whoever they is, Ray, you need to go ask them and let them answer for themselves. But don't ask me to speak for someone else. Gio said, apparently you have also had to be a convicted felon. You forgot to mention that one. Well, Gio, that's old. I mean, were you alive in 2024? That's already been addressed. So you go look at my old lives. I've addressed that one. Deb said she was not voted in at all by not one American. You talking about Kamala? Well, I mean, she got in on the Biden ticket. We do know that. She did get votes. She got votes in the election. She didn't win, but she did get some votes. Deb said, so tired of hearing because she's a woman. No, she isn't qualified. Well, had she won, she'd be qualified, but she didn't win. So now she doesn't get to be qualified. But Heck said, you made me laugh a lot today. Good. I'm happy to do so. And he said, well, they say she only won because she's a woman. Yes, exactly. And that's the problem with the woman frame that people tend to use when she loses. A lot of women use it, not all women, because I see some women in here saying it, but a lot of women use it and a lot of men use it. A lot of feminized men use this. Oh, well, they didn't vote for her because she's a woman. No, they didn't vote for her because they wanted somebody else. If I choose a man over a woman, it's not because I have a problem with the woman. Maybe I have a problem with what she represents, what she's doing, and what she's offering. Maybe I just don't like her offer. Is that possible? Why does it have to be because she's a woman? If there's a black person and a white person, I choose the white person. Is it because I'm racist, because I don't like blackness? Maybe I just like what the white person is offering more than I like what the black person is offering. It doesn't have to be about identity all the time. Someone on YouTube, DM said, you ever won a championship playing basketball? Yes, several times. Green Eyes said, we were built on a republic. Democracy was never it. Look what democracy got us. Just Me said, Mar-a-Lago was worth a whole lot more. More than what? You Grow Girl, thank you for the gifts. Thanks for joining the fan club. Marky Man said, reparations are being paid through welfare. Well, that's one way. That's one way. All right, a few more comments here, folks. We got 5 minutes left. Papa Vignette said, if it's not strictly he, she is corrupted. Possibly. Refer said, Biden won and he wasn't qualified. No, I wouldn't say Biden wasn't qualified because Biden went through the primary. So that makes you qualified. If you go through the primary and you get the nomination, you're qualified. That's the rule. You don't have to like the person. But if you go through the primary, Biden went through the primary and he beat all those people who tried to run for Democrat nomination in 2020. We can't take credit away from him for that. You may not like what he did after that, but you can't say he wasn't qualified when he beat everybody that he went up against. You stand in the ring and you beat everybody who comes up against you, you're qualified. That's the rule. And that applies to everybody. You Grow Girl says, say strong, don't know how you do this. This is easy. Internet commentary is easy. This is easy work. Just Me said, more than the NYDA tried to say it was. What are you talking about, Epstein? Michael, thanks for the follow. Lisa said, the left became too radicalized. Old school Dems and Republicans weren't that far apart. I agree with that. Democrats and Republicans weren't that far apart. It wasn't even that long ago. But we talking 1990? They weren't that 1990, 1999, even Bill Clinton era. They weren't that far apart. Is Donald Trump has so much caused people to pick sides that people have gotten crazy. And the Democratic Party is in a bad space right now because they position themselves as just whatever Donald Trump does, they go against it. Even if he does something sensible and normal, they go against it. And this is a bad idea. It's very bad strategy that they're executing right now. That's the problem with the Democratic Party. Even if they were to get some wins in 2026, they're still in trouble for 2028 because they don't have a leader. They might be able to get 2026 just because they got enough people mad at the current situation. This happens every cycle. Someone becomes president, people get mad at life, and then they vote against that side during the midterms. This happens every time. I'm not saying every time the midterm flips, but it often does. So whoever's the president's a Democrat, then the Republicans win in the midterms. If the president's a Republican, then the Democrats win in the midterms. This goes back and forth. It's like a seesaw. Why? Because there's a whole bunch of average people in America who just get mad at their situation and they blame the president, even though the president is not the reason for their situation. They're the reason. But most human beings don't want to be held accountable for their own situation, so they blame whoever they can blame. Easiest person to blame is the figurehead in the White House who happens to be the president. Doesn't matter who it is. Democrat, Republican, male, female, black, white. This happens all the time. So the Democrats have a good chance of winning at least one part of Congress in the 2026 midterms. The problem is they can't win 2028 presidency because they have no leadership. Who's the leader? Who's the person that's going to stand up there and be the person? I don't think Newsom is the person, but he's the strongest candidate they got right now. It's not going to be Kamala. She's not winning. She's not going through the gauntlet. She ain't going to beat Newsom. If it was just them two, she ain't winning. So it ain't going to be Kamala. Newsom, I don't think is that strong, and they got to figure out who's going to be. Democrats need to figure this out, like quickly. Need to figure it out. The OG McCoy said, "Is fully watching everyone get read to filth." What does that mean? Let's get the likes up, folks. We got 2 minutes. Can we get to 100K likes? We're at 92,000. Can we get to 100K, please? The GA chick says, "A shame how different political views have broken up families and friends in recent times." Yeah, that's because some people are just so staunchly, in my view, the way I've seen it is that it's people who are on a political left will stop dealing with people who are on a political right if they used to be friends or family members. It's usually not people on the right getting so mad at people on the left that they won't talk to them anymore. It's usually the other way around. People who are leaning left won't talk to a friend anymore because you're on the right. I don't see too many people on the political right. I'm talking about everyday citizens getting so mad at their friends on the left that they stop being friends with them or they stop talking to them or they unfollow you on Facebook. I usually see the left doing it to people on the right. But if y'all see it different, you let me know. It seems to me that people on the political left get a little bit more, their arguments are a little bit more emotional than the people on the right. Not that people on the right can't be emotional too, but the people on the left seem to be more emotional in their arguments. And not just when Donald Trump is in power. It may seem like that now because Trump is in charge, but it was happening even when it wasn't Trump. I've seen this. The people on the left. And the reason for this, I believe, the reason for this is that people are so emotionally unhinged by the idea of Donald Trump that they will go against anything he says or does just because of who he is. Not because they actually have an argument against what he says or does, but because they have been indoctrinated that anything he says or does, they have to go against it. As soon as you start doing that, you have painted yourself into a corner and you have positioned yourself to look foolish because if he says something sensible, because of what you said, because of the position you have staked, now you got to go against that too. So he says a boy should not be playing in girls' sports, an idea that 80% of Americans agree with. Now the Democrats are like, oh, no, the girls should be allowed. What are you doing? The boys should be allowed to play in girls. What are you doing? So the Democrats, again, when you put yourself in this position, you have set yourself up to look dumb. And Donald Trump's pretty good at making people look dumb if he wants to. And the Democrats are making it easy for him. So they got to get out of this. That's what they got to do. Willie said, accountability will fix so many things. Yes, well, it would. You saying it will like it's about to happen. It's not about to happen. It would if it did happen, but it's not about to happen. I'm at 98,000 likes. Deb, Queen Bee, I appreciate you. Let's get up to, we need one more 1,000 likes, folks, and then we're at 100K. We're at 99.1. And technically, we're supposed to be out of time here. So I'm going to reply to a few more comments. We get to 100K, I'll give y'all 5 more minutes of time to read comments. I do these lives Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern, by the way. So if you like this one, come back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. Business days, that is. So if it's a holiday, I might not go live. But Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. We don't have another holiday for what? We got the rest of July, all of August. I think next holiday is Labor Day. So we're here for at least the next 6 weeks, Monday through Friday, unless I get suspended on TikTok again. If I get suspended on TikTok, just go over to my Instagram or my YouTube. The links are in my profile on TikTok. We're at 100K likes. Thank you, everybody. Dana Marie said, I would go back to Legacy News if you had a station. I'll go listen to you. I would be on Legacy News. If NBC, CBS, what's the other ones? CNN, Fox. If one of them wants to give me a show, I would take it. Now, the problem is if one of them gave me a show, then they already got a leaning. So then if CNN offered me a show right now, what's everybody going to think? Everyone's going to think that I lean to the left because CNN is left. Or if Fox offered me a show, everybody's going to think I lean to the right because Fox leans to the right. That's the problem with these networks is that they have picked out a position. They're not supposed to have a position. Their job is just supposed to tell us what the hell happened, not tell us which way to think. So they all screwed up too. So everything is screwed up. I'd rather somebody like Spotify or Spotify. Who's somebody else who's like generally they're just open. What other platforms besides them? Sirius XM, something like that. It would use something that's more independent, not one of these traditional establishment platforms because they already screwed themselves up by the way they position themselves. But you can't discount being on TV. I mean, being on TV, people never forget you. You're on TV, everybody knows you. So I would still have to consider it. So if NBC offered me a TV show, I'd take it. CBS offered me a show, I'd take it. But we would have to have a meeting. NBC, CBS, CNN, we got to have a meeting. And I'm going to tell y'all exactly how I work and where I stand. And you're not going to tell me. You have no editorial control over what I say. So as long as we can agree to that, then we can make it happen. So, Dana, I appreciate the compliment. The OG McCoy said, funny. It's funny watching everyone get red to filth. What does that mean, red to filth? I never heard that term before. Samson and Delilah, thanks for the follow. Riley Hughes, thank you. I'm going to give a couple more minutes here, folks, then we'll wrap this up. Kathleen said, people on the right are more accepting than the left. That's the way it looks to me, but maybe I'm just looking at the wrong people. But it seems to me people on the left get more emotionally unhinged over Donald Trump. Even when Biden was president. Again, I'm not saying this happened just because Trump won. Even when Biden was president and Trump was out, I still saw people on the left getting way too just unhinged about anybody not agreeing with their position. People on the right don't seem to have that much of an issue with someone disagreeing with them. They're at least willing to engage. I see a lot of people on the left just unwilling to engage when someone seems to lean to the right. I don't see people on the right being unwilling to engage. Not today, said, I've been tapping for likes for a while. I have no idea what it does for the host. LOL. So what it does, when I tell you how to tap the screen, y'all see right at the top left corner. Can y'all see that number up there? It says 104.7K. So that's the number of likes. That's people liking the live stream. So when you tap the screen, that gives a like. The way that works is this is social media. So all y'all use social media. I know what it is. If you see a post that you like, what do? You like the post. So when you like the post, what it does is it tells the algorithm, which is basically the AI system of the app, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. It tells the system people are liking what this person is doing. And when they know that people like what you're doing, they're more likely to promote it to more people, which basically spreads the message. It gets you seen by more people, and it brings more people to see what it is that you're doing. So when I ask y'all to like the live, what it does is it tells TikTok, this is good stuff. Show this to more people. That's how I get it on the For You page, and I get more people to see me. And you get more of these vanity metrics, which generally I don't care about vanity metrics. My business is not run on vanity metrics. We run on real metrics like sales. But if I'm going to use social media, then we might as well get the vanity metrics. And since TikTok is my strongest live audience, that's why I tell y'all on TikTok to like the live. Because I'm live right now on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and TikTok. But the only one I tell to like the live is TikTok because TikTok is the strongest audience or the biggest audience. So that's why I tell y'all to like the live, because if it's working on TikTok, then I might as well make it keep working. So the way it works here, folks, is if you have a bunch of things going on in life, just as a general rule, and you got a few things that are okay, you got one thing that's really strong, what a lot of people do incorrectly is they try to fix the okay things and try to make them better, and they ignore the thing that's strong. What you actually should do is triple down on the strong thing and do more of it, because the strong thing has a better chance of letting you go 10x than trying to make all the weak things better. So if you're good at 3 things, but one of them is way better than the other 2, triple down on the one, because that gives you the best opportunity to go to higher and higher levels. So if I had to only pick one of these platforms to go live on every day, I would do it on TikTok, because TikTok's the strongest audience. This is what it is. Now, if it was YouTube, then I would say it was YouTube. I have no personal preference for TikTok, but as long as I've been going live on TikTok, it's been a way stronger audience than all the other platforms put together. So that's why I tell y'all to like the live. Lisa said, bring back unbiased reporting like Walter Cronkite. Yeah, I think that ship has sailed, at least for this generation. You're right, but I think that ship has sailed. Papa Lane Yet said, under pressure, Kamala might cry. Trump went through hell, and he's unbreakable. But what do you think Kamala was doing the night of the election when she wouldn't come out and talk to her own fans? That's exactly what she was doing. That's why she wouldn't come on stage. OG McCoy said, it means they come in with a slick comment thinking they got you and your comments are slicker. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what it means when they get read to filth. I never heard that saying before. Well, the thing is, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been posting content online for literally 20 years. It used to be basketball stuff for like the first 10 years, and it was mindset overlapping, and then it became more business. I still do a whole lot of business and personal development stuff and professional development. That's my lane. That's what I actually do for my actual job is personal, professional development, entrepreneurship, growth, performance. That's what I actually do. But I like talking about these current events for a couple of reasons. One, it exposes me to a different audience of people because some of you wouldn't find me if I was talking about discipline or confidence or entrepreneurship. You find me when I talk about these things. Two, it's kind of practice for me. I get to practice just so it's good public speaking practice for me. Three, it's a way of building an audience and an alternate audience on different subjects. And some people don't like my opinions. Some people do. And that's fine. If you don't like my opinions, that's fine. That filters you out. And if you do like my opinions, that's great. It filters you in. So that's another reason why I do it. And because it's a strong audience. If it wasn't a strong audience of people listening to this, then I wouldn't keep doing it. So, and when it comes to the comments on the internet, I've been replying to comments on the internet for literally 20 years. Nothing anybody can say to me that I can't handle, no matter the topic. Beth, thank you for the follow. Kathleen said, you don't see the right rioting in the streets. No, you don't. Well, people will bring up January 6th. Just as playing devil's advocate. Federal court said people on the left think they're right while people on the right think they're right for themselves. Okay. Riley said, wait, so do you have that many phones up? No. So I'm on a tablet. I'm on my iPad on TikTok. The only phone I'm using is Instagram over there. And then the other one's on a laptop computer. So on a laptop, you could do more than one stream, more than one platform. So I got Rumble Studio, which has Rumble, X, YouTube, and LinkedIn all from the same feed right here. Then I have Facebook and Facebook. That's it. So a desktop computer just has more power than a phone or a tablet. Kathleen said J6 wasn't a riot. Well, it depends on who you ask, Kathleen. I get what you're saying. I generally agree with you, but I'm saying that's what somebody on the left would say to counter your point. But I know what you mean. Gigi said, even if I don't agree with you sometimes, you're very well-spoken and I can see your points. Well, thank you. And you're the type of person I'm looking for, someone who you don't have to agree with me, but you can at least appreciate how I'm coming to my conclusions. And most people don't fit into that category. Riley said, I see. Thank you. I was going to say that's wild. But I don't have that many phones. But when I get the next iPhone, so this is my current actual phone, my real phone. If you called me, this phone would ring. This phone will become a live streaming phone as soon as I get a new phone. So as soon as I get the next iPhone, what's the current iPhone? Is it the 16 or the 17? I forgot. But I think the 17 is coming out, right? Isn't the 17 about to come out? Or is it already out? So I'm at Apple's website. Let's see what's in. I think right now they're on the 16. So right now they're on the 16, but the 17 is coming in what? September or something? It's already July. So I was thinking about getting a 16 like 3 months ago. And I looked at it, but I didn't buy it. And now if the 17 is coming out, I guess I got to get the 17. Is the 17 coming out in October or September? Does anybody know? I think it is. So if it is, then I guess I got to wait on the 17. So this is like the existential problem. Every time you get a phone, you know there's a new one coming. So you might as well just wait for the next one. So I think I'm going to get the 17. So the 16, I would get the Pro. How much is this? This phone's probably like $1,500. So the 17 probably be a little bit more, probably 16 or 1700, something like that. Yeah, so I'll just get that one when it comes out. October, because they put a new one out every year, right? So yeah, I think I'll wait till the fall and just get the 17. So as soon as I get the 17, then this will be a streaming phone, and maybe I'll stream. I don't know. Maybe I'll do X. Maybe I'll try to do X because X I actually do have. There are people who actually watch the live when I'm on X, but I can't see the numbers. Rumble Studio doesn't show me the numbers. So right now it says 33 people watching on X, but I can't see who they are. I can't see comments if there are any. I can't see anything. I can just see the number when I go to X on my phone, but I can't see anything. On Rumble Studio, it just tells me I'm on X, but it doesn't say anything. So that's the situation. You still on 14? I got the 13. So Deb Queen, don't feel bad. I got the iPhone 13. I think this phone is a 13. I ain't buy an iPhone in a long time. So this is I got the 13 1 terabyte. So I've had this phone for, I don't even know when I got this. This has to be what, 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago? But it still works pretty fine. The thing is, when you get a new iPhone, this is the thing that always happens. Every time you get a new iPhone, as soon as you start using it, you realize how slow your old phone was. Like, my phone doesn't feel slow, but if you handed me an iPhone 16 right now and I started using it, I'd be like, damn, my phone was slow as hell. You don't realize it until you get the new phone. So I'll get the 17. I think I'll wait on the 17. So that's that, everybody. I told you I'll do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. If you like this one, come back tomorrow. I told you what I do business-wise. We weaponize discipline and structure. We turn it into performance and results. That's my company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. Go to the link in my profile. You can learn more about that. I have a free chat bot called Dre GPT. You can get access to that by going to the link in my profile. That's workonyourgame.live. You can get on my email list for free. You can get into my coaching programs. We got 3 different levels of our coaching programs. Our courses, which you can take at your own pace. We got our Circle entry-level program. We got our full consulting and coaching programs. I do trainings. We do speakings for teams and businesses. You can learn more about all of that by going to the link in my profile. My executive assistant's email is in there. So if you want anything from me or like to work with us, just email my assistant. She'll get back to you. You can send me a direct message as well. My assistant also will get to you there. Her name's Marielle. She'll respond to you and tell you where to go from there. Other than that, I will see everybody at 8 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Oh, one last thing. Any of you like reading books, get my book, The Third Day. This is my most popular book. This book is all about how you show up and give your best effort when you least feel like it. We give this book away for free. We just ask that you cover the shipping, and we will physically ship you this book. It is called Third Day. Get it at Third Day and then the word book. ThirdDayBook.com. ThirdDayBook.com is where you get this book. I'll show you what the website or the landing page. It's not actually a website. It's a funnel. We'll show you what this page looks like. It looks like this, ThirdDayBook.com. Go to this site, ThirdDayBook.com. I can't give you all a link because TikTok doesn't give you clickable links. So yes, I'm on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn name is my name. My name is Dre Baldwin. So if you go to my TikTok profile, I think my name's on here somewhere. Actually, it's not. But my actual name is Dre Baldwin. D-R-E. My last name is Baldwin. B-A-L-D-W-I-N. And you can get this. Shipping is $9. $9.95 will ship you the book. Go to ThirdDayBook.com. My name is Dre Baldwin. You can look me up on Google or wherever y'all look. My name, I'm very easy to find. I'm on every social media platform, so not just TikTok. I'm on every platform. Just look my name up. Yeah, I'm public on everything. Everything I put out is public. Everything I published over the years is public. I published probably, I usually say 30,000, but it's probably closer now to 40,000 pieces of content online over the last 20 years between videos, clips, audio, and written material, probably 40,000 pieces of content. So those of you who just found out about me today, I'm not new. I'm not washed, but I'm not new. I will see y'all tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. Get the book, ThirdDayBook.com. Just go to that link, ThirdDayBook.com. Go to the link in my profile, and on that page, we have links to all of our books. All the free books you can get are all right there on that page. See everybody tomorrow morning. We are out of here. All right, send me a request. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn too. So those of you more business focused, you're on LinkedIn. I am there as well. See all y'all tomorrow. We out. Work on your game.